Yes. As you move along the road of life, you understand things better with time and with age. There is something that I used to see a long time ago. You would look around and you would see like people with experience, people with knowledge, people who know about certain things, even older people who have had experience in life. They would look at situations where people are misbehaving or not doing things the way it should be done, and they would say nothing. And these are things I used to think about, and I said to myself, why is it that people let people go astray? And they would just watch and not help, not say anything. Then I realized there, in some cases, there are reasons why people just let people go and fall into their own holes and to their own traps. I've seen in many cases there are certain times when you try to show people the right way. There are things that you know for a fact that this is how these things work. And you would tell certain people, okay, do that this way or whatever, this is a better option. And they would argue with you. They would argue with you and they would not even have a basis for their argument. There are people who are just disrespectful in the society and they're just not willing to learn. There are people, no matter how much you try to explain certain situations to them, they will just reject it. There are people who will reject knowledge and information just because of who it is coming from. And so then when I look at all of those things, I understand why sometimes people just let people just go and fall in a precipice and tell them nothing. Um, I remember there's a friend of mine who was learning to be a carpenter join a long time ago. And he was telling me one time that the guy who was the boss, he was not, there are certain critical things that he would not tell them. So if there was a very important part of the work that had to be done, he would send him and buy something. And by before he came back, the guy would have done the technical part or the critical part. And he's saying like the people who were teaching people long ago, they would keep certain information away and they would not share. And then I realized and I wondered why is it that these people would be behaving that way. I think it had to do with the fact that certain times they realized that certain people, when they gave them an information, they became haughty, high-minded, disrespectful to even the people that gave them the knowledge. And so some of these older people decide that they would just not give them knowledge. So it is very important that if you have to advance in life, that you have to get knowledge from people with experience and more knowledge than you. So every day when I go to work, I realize that. Say you deal with situations, you deal with patients and all of that. But your consultant, your boss, your head, your consultant would just give you one piece of advice or one piece of information, one sentence, and that can change the whole thing. And that can even open up your mind to a reality. Just by your consultant just telling you, oh, um, next time do it that way, or if you add that to it or whatever. And just one sentence they will give you, and it will just change your whole mind. It will just give you new knowledge, new understanding. That's one of the reasons why I respect consultants. I respect my consultants highly. But in the society, you've seen people do not, a lot of people are not like that. They do not respect the people that give them knowledge. They have that mentality that they know everything, whereas they know nothing. And a lot of, I see that in a lot of guys. And there's a partner I know personally, and he is one that I personally will not tell him anything because he thinks he know everything already. And so again, I understand why in the time past, certain people were withholding information from people, and even now, there are certain people who will withhold a lot of information from the society. There is certain information that they know that they will not release it in the society because certain information can be dangerous in the wrong hands. But what I'm trying to say is, if it is that we have to develop as a people, We have to learn from the people with more knowledge than ourselves. And knowledge does not come on age. There are people that are much younger than you and will have more knowledge than you, and you will have to learn from them. You understand? Knowledge is not does not come about by age. Knowledge is not a function of the years that you live. Because I have seen people who are 90 years, 70, 80, 60, 50, whatever, and they have no knowledge. And there are people who are 15 years old, 17 years old who have more knowledge than them. So basically, if it is that we have to advance as a people, we need to humble ourselves to people with more knowledge. You understand? Because there are people that are withholding information, withholding knowledge from you. Because sometimes you're just too haughty, you're too arrogant. And sometimes they perceive that if they give you that information, you will just become a very dangerous person, selfish, and you'll just do a lot of things that probably will be against what we want in the society. So if there's anything I want us to learn from this video is that you have to humble yourself to knowledge. To gain knowledge, you have to humble yourself. And even in the book of Proverbs, we talk about that. You have to humble yourself to get knowledge. You cannot behave like you know everything and to go nowhere. There is a guy I know. He's just a stubborn fella. His head is like a stone. He believes that he knows everything. And nobody can tell him anything. And some of the things that he knows is crap. You think you know is crap. You have to humble yourself to knowledge. You must. And this is something I've been doing from the time I was a little child. I wouldn't talk not much, but I would just listen. And even now, I listen a lot to what people have to say. I'm still gaining a lot of knowledge in a lot of things. A lot of things in different fields, in different areas. I just listen to people and try to gain knowledge. You can never grow if you do not humble yourself to knowledge. And the people with knowledge, there must be somebody that you can find to impart knowledge into. Good knowledge, good information. There is not everybody that is going to mishandle knowledge. There are people who will appreciate knowledge, will appreciate the wisdom that you're going to impart on them. And so it is okay to teach some people. But there is a lot of growth, a lot of development that you as an individual, me as an individual can get if you just humble yourself to knowledge. People who know more than you, to just listen to what they're saying, let them teach you. And it will be amazing how far you're going to go. And if we do that as a people, we can go very far. There's a lot of information out there. When you look at social media, there's a lot of information. There is an overload of information. And so you have to choose the information that is pertinent to what you want to do. You do not just go and just try to get all kind of information. You have to tailor the information that you extracting from those things. And there is a lot of crap information on social media too. Some of the things that you're listening to, although the voice sounds very good and professional, they are computer generated voices, AI generated voices. And some of those things, these programs or this messaging are coming from people who do not know what they're talking about. And even in that, you have to be careful. But knowledge is important. We need knowledge in this country. We need knowledge on how to produce food, knowledge in terms of health. We need knowledge in terms of conserving the things that we have. Knowledge in managing the things that we have, managing resources, how to conserve water. We need knowledge on how to market our produce. There is a void in the. We believe that all that information out there, but the information is not being put to practice. So basically, what I'm saying is this: we need to humble ourselves so that people will teach us. And those who know, there must be somebody that you can find to teach them information that will develop a country, develop people. That's what we need. Keep the fire burning.